Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. My gosh, what a day. And this is going to be an amazing event, but it is just the first of hopefully many, many events. And more importantly, I hope it's an opportunity for all of you to see how life is going to be different for all of you. And I'm talking about the people here, I'm talking about the people out there who are watching us, and the people who are going to follow this, because this video will live forever. So I just as this video will be living on, you will be living on. And if you're going to be living on, I want you to know that there are 4 things that are important to you. Right? What are they? They're sleep, eating, exercise, and spirits. Don't you love it when the answer's on the screen? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So welcome. So again, I want to say, so if you guys don't know me, my name's Eric Liu. I'm one of the neuroendocrine experts in the United States. And all of you people are here because you want to live and you know what it means to live. Because I'm sure a lot of you have had that experience in which you thought maybe you weren't going to live. And when your life starts to change so dramatically, and then you're given another chance, a second lease on that life, then every day is more precious, right? Every day is more precious. And so I am very, very blessed to have my dear friend Lisa Pearl. Round of applause. Come on, people. Loud clapping, not this golf clapping stuff. Loud clap. Thanks to Lisa. Lisa and I've known Lisa for many years since I moved here. So let me just tell you why we're here, okay, before Tyler starts. And I'll tell you more. But the reason why we're here at this particular place is because one day Lisa came to see me, and she always brings me all this beautiful bread, which I always eat, and my kids always eat. And the one thing I noticed is I didn't feel sick after eating the bread. And so I got on my soapbox, and you all have seen me on my soapbox before. All of you have seen me on my soapbox before. And I said, the food out of this, blah, 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 and we'll have a chance to talk about it. And she said, why don't you come up to the restaurant and we will teach you how to make bread. And I said, absolutely. So I came up here one afternoon. Tyler was good enough to, what he's about to teach you, he taught to me. He shared that starter with me. And I have been making a loaf of bread for my family every single weekend since that day. Every single weekend. Because it is so important to me. And there is just some new studies that showed the gut bacteria may be causing this rise in colon cancer, right? So, I mean, good, pure foods are the cornerstone of good, pure health. And so this is the beginning of that conversation. And so for everyone who's interested in living a better life and in enjoying your life and doing all the things you want to do, start here. Start anywhere. Just do it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So this is why we are here today in this very, very special place. So do me a favor, anyone out there, if you've never been to Evergreen Bread and Cocktail, please come. I think they're already pretty busy, but please come anyway. And more importantly, if any of you here come, it's a wonderful place. It's a wonderful place. So let me introduce Tyler. Tyler, clap, people, clap. Come on. Yeah, cheer a little bit. Was good enough to be my bread instructor. In fact, I have an autographed book that he shared with me, and I have only 2 pages I've ever read from it and I've stopped reading it because I've memorized all the numbers. But the lesson that he will give you today, use this as a foundation. It's a demonstration, but it's a foundation for what food means to us as people. And for the people who are, living with cancer, it is the basic medicine. Forget all the drugs that I give you. The surgery is important. I got that. Yeah. I've cut most of you in half. So you all better clap when I start talking, or twice, yeah, or a couple of times, yeah, exactly. But this is the cornerstone of what is good health. So Tyler, thank you, my friend. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having our community. Thank you for having our international community, and teach us about bread.
All right. Hi, everyone. You guys are good. I think I'm mic'd up. I think I'm ready to go, but I know all of you all can hear me. But hi, again, I am Tyler. Thank you for tuning in with us remotely. Thank you for being here today. I've been the general manager of Evergreen Bread Lounge for 2 years, and then I've worked on the management team with Lisa for the past 5.5 years. A true blessing. I am a graduate of Johnson Wales University, where I specialized in food and creating food for the public, as well as food service management. Evergreen is such a beautiful community where we get to come together, where we get to come together and then as well provide an awesome product and cultivate a space for people to really thrive and enjoy what they have, the people they're with, and then be able to take that experience and share it with others. So today I wanted to talk about what sourdough bread is, why you should include sourdough as a complex carbohydrate into your daily diet and what that means for you, how we make our sourdough, and then how you can easily make it at home. Those are the 4 cornerstones of how you can take whatever we talk about here today home with you. So sourdough is a fermented bread loaf, and that uses natural yeasts and natural sugars to grow over time. Sourdough is fermented for 2 days, and the difference between our bread here and bread across the street or any other grocery store is you're going to find it has no added instant yeast. So I clapped too. I clapped too when I found this out, because I am myself found out when I ate this bread, it's lighter. It's easier for me in the mornings when I wake up. It's easier as I process through the day, and I have a lot more energy a lot faster. That's what complex carbohydrates do for you. They are long grains of sugar that actually decrease your blood sugar levels over time because they don't spike them as well, and then allows your body to easily digest the food that you're eating. So with sourdough breads, they've been around since about 8,000 BC. If anyone didn't know that, you know it today. And it uses a bacteria that was actually named in San Francisco during the gold rush era as the Lactobus sancensis. And that basically is a bacteria found in the air from near the San Francisco Bay to create a complex, tangy, delicious loaf of bread. That being said, there are thousands of different sourdough bread recipes that you can find online, in books, anywhere really. Most restaurants have them now. But what you're really looking for is sourdough bread, and real sourdough bread with no extra added yeast. When we take the fast path of instant yeast, we can rise our bread so much faster, but it puts such a much heavier toll on our bodies. So anyone who says, hey, when I eat bread, I feel heavy, or hey, I don't have celiacs, but I really don't like gluten. So this is your way of saying, hey, I've got a great product for you. It doesn't need to be from my bakery here. It can be from any sourdough that's a 2-day ferment where those proteins and those gluten structures have taken the time to break down so your body doesn't have to go overhaul to break down those structures. So what we have here is just a few tools that you'll need to find. You can find them online. You can find them in homeware stores. I personally love Amazon. I don't know if anyone else loves Amazon, but I'm here all the time, and I go home and the stuff is at my door. So a quick layout of what we have here in front of us is most people don't have wood workbenches like we have here at the bakery. So a butcher's block or anything that's a nice solid wood that you can use a food oil on to make sure that you're locking it in so bacteria isn't seeping in is a really, really good way to add in a bench at home without making a heavy purchase of buying that wood block. Nobody wants to spend $500 on a wood block. We have our bread boule, and a boule is B-O-U-L-E, and that's just the shape. There are many different shapes if you want a large sandwich loaf, if you want that football shape. We personally here for our traditional San Francisco, we like that nice bowl. Your best friend, besides water, is going to be your bench scraper. A bench scraper needs to be not too sharp, nice and even, and don't let your kids or anyone around you go willy-nilly with this thing. You want it nice, even, and straight. We have our lame, which I'm going to show you how to score a nice loaf of bread here, and this is a very sharp, fine-edged blade. And what the lame is going to do is it's going to allow us to add designs, you know, whatever you want, but it's also going to allow your bread to form in a nice shape and stay in that shape. Here at the Bread Lounge, we use King Arthur flour. It's an organic flour. We personally go down the hill, down 70, and we find ours at Golden Organics, and we get it every single week. We also use organic flour such as rye, and we use whole ancient grains, spelt, kamut, einkorn, and we mill that here in-house to add into our breads. When you add in whole grains, you're adding in good proteins that your body needs for high energy, as well as really good flavors that are unique that you can't find across the street. The very first thing you need for sourdough is a starter. Starters can be found here and far, many different recipes, but the best thing to know about starters is it's about half water, half flour. That's all it is. So the only thing you need to worry about is keeping this guy alive. Starters can live forever. Here at the Bread Lounge, we've had our starter for 6 years. I've been places where they've had their starters for 30 years. It's something that if you feed it, and you don't have to feed it every day, it's not like us, it will last forever. At the Bread Lounge, what we do is we take a little bit of our starter from our mix, we put it into a really nice big container, and we feed it with equal parts flour and water. We never incorporate salt, and we allow natural yeasts found in the air to feed our starter. What starter does is overnight it eats the sugars from the flour and the natural yeast, and it grows. And that's going to break down your protein structure so that your body doesn't have to. When you're mixing sourdough, it only takes flour, water, salt, and starter. 4 things to make a really, really beautiful loaf of bread. The reason why people aren't making this at home is because it does take 2 days normally. So a loaf of bread can last a week. So we're talking 2 days out of your week to give yourself something that your body can tolerate, something that's delicious, and that most people really would rather have versus a white bread. When you go over to the store, actually whole grain breads, rye breads, white breads, wheat breads still have instant yeasts in them. So make sure we check those labels, because just because you grab something that says sourdough, flip it over. The label's always the most important thing. Make sure you're not buying instant yeast breads or breads that took the quicker route. Wood bench, we start our mix, we add in our water, we add in our flour, we add in our starter, and then we add our salt on top. Always put your salt on top. Otherwise, instead of having a beautiful, beautiful loaf, you'll have a flat pita bread. All right? What salt does is salt actually can disrupt or kill the yeast cycle. So once you add in all your ingredients, again, water, starter, flour, salt on top, we start our mix here every day at 4 a.m. My bakers come in, they start their mix, they do that first cycle, and then we let our bread rest. It rests in the bowl, it rests on the table, it rests in this bowl right here. And what that allows is flavors to develop, protein structures to break down, and then it also allows your growth. You don't have yeast, so you need time. After we do that, we whip our bread into a nice shape. We get it into something that's tight and easily molded, and then we flip it onto our wood bench. Once it's on our wood bench, we section off, so we get it into whatever fits into our containers, and then we let it rest again. That is just like sleep is your number one, rest is the number one thing for sourdough. So as it rests, we fold our bread, and what folding does is we pull it and we allow that protein structure to grow and get strong. As time goes and it breaks down, so the gluten breaks down, the proteins are getting, so the bread is strong. We do that folding and resting process here at the Bread Lounge for about 4 times over the course of 4 hours. After we have all of our rests, all of our folds done, we flip it out and we get it ready for shape. So what you're gonna do at home is you're gonna buy a scale, because we don't use cups or tablespoons when we make sourdough bread, guys. Everyone's gonna switch to the metric system. We're gonna be using grams and nothing else. That's gonna be your best friend, because precise science is baking. Hand in hand, science is baking. That's what I tell my team. That's what everyone knows when they leave here. So you make sure you have your measurements exact. You go ahead and measure that bowl. This is 850 grams, just so everybody knows. We measure all of our bowls to be the same for consistency and quality, as well as making sure our baking process is concise the whole way through. After our first shape, We're going to go and we're going to get something a little bit like this, not necessarily the same thing, but it does what? What's the number one thing sourdough needs? Rest. It rests again for another 2 hours. So once we get it in a nice first shape, we're going to leave it we're going to spray it down with water, we're going to cover it. The best thing at home to cover it with is a nice linen cloth. I use a hand towel at home, a nice linen hand towel. Here at the bakery, we have the privilege of having linen. Lisa buys all of our stuff for us, so we're allowed to have linens. And we're going to cover it and let it rest for about an hour. Once we get into our final shape, we bring back our second best friend. We shape it into that nice tight ball, and then it's ready to go into its bread basket. Once it hits its bread basket, that's when the real fermentation process starts. We go our overnight fermentation, and that's going to allow that super, super tangy flavor to develop, as well as that's when all of the harsh proteins that your body cannot break down fast break down overnight. We personally do our fridge. I have friends who leave their breads out at room temperature overnight. I've never seen how their bread actually looks. They just tell me that's what they do. And now, one of the coolest things we get to do here is score our breads. Dr. Lou doesn't score his bread. He'll talk to you about what his bread looks like in a minute.
But it's the same to my stomach.
But again, scoring is how you get beautiful designs. Here at the Bread Lounge, we like to do leaves. During holidays, we'll do different shapes. Mother's Day, all of our breads said Mom, but the team put them upside down, so they all said wow, which is fine. It's okay. But you're going to find through videos, through books, my personal author of choice is Vanessa Kimball. She has a tried true method of developing really, really good sourdough bread. So Vanessa Kimball, if anyone hasn't read her, most definitely that's a book to pick up. You can find her in most bookstores. But she will teach you real awesome formulas, awesome foundations for mixing, and then things where that helps your starter live. Starters can go dormant, and I can leave my starter in the fridge for a week. I can go home, back to Delaware, leave it for a week. I come home, my starter's still alive and kicking. So until you really need to make bread the next day, that's when you feed your starter. But I'm going to let everyone come up and see and smell and feel the bread. We're not going to bake this bread tomorrow, just so everybody knows. And you can really see the spelt that's in it. We mill our spelt here. It's an ancient grain. It gives it a really nice nutty flavor. All of our breads are 3% rye, which is also King Arthur flour. That's going to give a color. It gives a little bit of depth to the bread. And then San Francisco is a lot of bread flour. Blood flour is high gluten flour. Don't let the name high gluten steer you away. High gluten just means it's strong. It can stand up. It has a little bit of mobility to it. Your interior structure is a little more dense. It makes a much better sandwich. We have many different options. We have less high gluten breads as well, but that's when your food falls through your sandwich. Can't hold it up. But anyone who would like to come up, feel the bread, smell the bread, touch the bread, don't worry, it's going to go. This poor loaf is going to go in the trash after this, which is totally fine. But thank you very much for having me. Please know the main takeaways are you can do this at home very, very easily. I bake mine on a pizza slate. I heat it up. I make my bread. I do a 2-day rest. I heat the pizza slate up, flip my bread onto it, give it a score. Spray bottles are your best friend. Sourdough needs steam. If you ever wonder why your bread is not hard and crusty, water. It doesn't make sense, but it's science. So I just spray down my oven. It creates a really, really nice volume of steam. And then in about 35 minutes, I have a really nice crisp sourdough loaf in the morning. And then now I have a team where I can just take their bread out of the walk-in and I get to go home. I don't have to mix it anymore. But it's...
So I probably missed it.
Yes.
Where do you get your starter?
We make it. So we make it here. So the very first process for starter is going to be, this is a stiff for a much firmer bread, but most starters are about 60-40. So we're going to take our water, room temperature, we're going to 60%, and then to that ratio, it's going to be 40% flour. We're going to get it mixed so that we don't have any clumps in it. We're going to leave it out at room temperature. What it's going to do is it's going to double in size. And that's the growth, that's it feeding off of its natural cycle. Then it goes in the fridge until we're ready to mix with it. If you want to mix the same day, you can make a starter. I would say if you wanted to mix bread by 2 p.m., you wake up at 5 a.m., most people don't want to do that. But if you wake up at 5, you can have a starter that you can mix with the same day. Room temperature is your best friend. unless you live in Arizona. I don't know if anyone tuning in lives in Arizona, but your times are going to be much lower. But your starter is equal parts flour, water, a really nice mix. It's going to grow about double in size, and then it's ready for you. The key is you always save a little bit of starter, and you keep feeding, and that's how you keep the same base. So most of the time, what my team does here is they have their formula is to keep about 12% of their starter. And what they'll do is say they're making 800 grams of bread, then we're going to have whatever 12% is of 800 plus those 800 grams. And that way we can feed that starter again and get it to grow. Was that okay? Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it best to store the starter in glass? Or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I just thought it looked better in glass, mine's at home in Pyrex, and then here we use large tubs for our starters, and that is plastic. Most home bakers do use mason jars because they're airtight. Airtight is essential because you're not letting anything else into it. But if you do use glass, just make sure if anyone's familiar with canning, it is very important that you do you sanitize well. So super hot water, good dish soap. I don't incorporate bleach into any of my stuff. Bleach will kill because it's very hard to get all of the bleach out. So just a really good dish soap and very dry. Normally it's best to have this thing washed, cleaned, and then sealed up, and then the next day you use it. Just making sure everything's dry, making sure everything's cleaned out of there, because what starter's doing is using natural bacteria. And you only want certain kinds of bacteria. You only want yeast. If you're incorporating a different bacteria, that could harm your starter. I've most definitely lost multiple starters. It happens. It's very easy to start over. One day you're going to have a 10-year starter in your fridge, and it might just go kaploots. If that happens, it just means that's its life cycle, and you're ready to start again. Yeah.
Tyler, thank you.
Thank you.